A big aha moment for me around a mindset shift was that I was owning it. Like, this is mine. Things shifted because I shifted, not because the market changed or it got better. It's actually terrible out there in the nonprofit social impact space, right? People are very concerned about investing in things, being too loud. Like, it's not at all that like conditions just got easier or my messaging was like easier to put out. It just was that I was more convicted about what I was doing. Leadership is an inside job, and so you have to have the resolve. You have to like work on yourself and master yourself effectively, or continue in that process to be able to get to the outcomes of things that you want.
Hello, Nkoyo, and welcome to our Swagger Spotlight series. I am so thrilled to be chatting with you today because there are some people that you feel like you've known your whole life. I feel like we were running in some of the same circles when I found out you went to Brown undergrad and then NYU for grad school. I was like, where have you been my whole life? So thank you to the social media algorithms for connecting us. But why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you serve organizations.
Awesome. Yes, it's great to be here with you, Anniedi. I'm Nkoyo Effiong Lewis. I am the Chief Impact Strategist at Iban Isọñ Solutions. And so we are a woman-rooted consulting and advisory firm that really helps social impact leaders, especially nonprofits, figure out how to find their courage to lead audaciously through changes in circumstances, whether that's navigating transitions with people on staff, changes in priorities, or currently just an administration that's completely different than maybe one that we have typically worked in. So we really try to provide a lot of governance and compliance support to make sure that people can meet the moment and the mission without running afoul of the rules.
And how important that work is, especially right now. Can you share a little bit about what the name of your business means? Would love to share with our audience.
Yeah, so Iban Isọñ is a word that comes from the Efik language. My family is Efik. That really is about like the power almost of women. Like, just when women come together, there's a strength. And so we use that to think about how women are often the roots and the branches, and that when we listen to women, we actually get to solutions that are holistically better for all people. And so we really try to build from that strength, that power, to move us in a direction towards the future we deserve.
Thank you for sharing that, Nkoyo, because in many ways, as I got to know your story, it felt like you were rooting into your unique identity. I've worked with a number of former attorneys, right, who know their way around a contract or two, but there's something about corporate contracts specifically that feels a little bit different. What was it that you felt like prepared you from your former roles, and what was it that you felt like maybe you needed to stretch in new ways to be able to better attract and reach your target organizations?
Oh, that's a great question. So I started my legal career in a big law firm. So used to working, many levels under the partner who was actually the relationship partner on a contract, but typically came from folks who had like big businesses, big organizations, sprawling departments, lots of things that happen, but never really in the seat of being the one to go out and have the conversation and figure out how that business came in. It just sort of was like, here's the slice that you're supposed to work on. And so I have familiarity with like complex issues, just dealing with complexity, lots of layers, lots of different people that might be a part of the process in terms of getting something done. But I didn't have the experience of like, what does it take to actually go out and find and like engage in the conversations that lead to actually being able to do the work with those clients. And then I think also just Big Law was an experience for me. It didn't fully align with like my whole spirit and sort of ethos. And so I feel like there's pieces of it that I was like, oh, this is just not for me. Like, those are people and the way that they do things is like very different than myself. And so like those are not my clients, or like I don't know how to like engage in conversations that lead to the impact that I'm trying to create with that demographic.
Many folks say corporate contracts isn't for me, right? Or have had former roles and experiences, and kind of they're given organizations the side eye. But your work has roots in deep social impact, and so I'm curious, what had you tried before to land organizations? I know you'd been in speaker boot camps. What were some of the approaches that you were taking before you joined us here at Swagger School?
Yeah. It's funny because I think when my first sort of, well, maybe it was my second, I think I joined at office hour. But I really got in with you when you did the sort of lead gen boot camp. And when we went through it, I had tried a lot of the things. So I had done speaking, I had done posting, I had gone and tried with like networking and being in different places. And in a period of time, after I left Big Law, I started my own firm. And so I had experience like working with trying to get people one-on-one, sort of like business to consumer, sometimes like smaller businesses. So they weren't necessarily like, it was like just the founder. And so a lot of the strategies that I found that worked there, posting online all the time, like trying to be very personable, doing the trends and all the stuff, which I hated. I did not enjoy like operating in that space. I'm kind of a deep thinker. I wanted to have like long form content, etc. But I didn't really figure out the way to do that. So I had tested a lot of things, probably not for long enough. So like put it out there and I was like, nobody responded to it today. So obviously that doesn't work, and like shifted to something else to try to get folks. But I think for me, what really started working, and I found like I enjoy speaking. Like a lot of attorneys, we love to talk. Give us a mic, it's dangerous. And so I found that sometimes like getting on stages actually led to more conversations afterwards, more people looking to see what I'm doing, following me, being curious about what I was up to. And I saw that also I ran from office, and like I also found that sort of thing happened, but I didn't always have a like next thing to provide. It was a lot of, great, I spoke, that was fun, we connected, the energy was great, all the vibes, and then I had nothing else after that.
Yeah, it's about creating, right, a sustainable sales system, right, a journey that you can guide organizations from seeing you on that stage to, right, having that consulting relationship. I'm curious what was motivating you personally to land more corporate contracts, because I know you have a full-time, 9 to 5 role, and you're a busy mom. So what were some of the personal motivations that were making you think, you know what, bigger contracts can help me get there faster?
Yeah, like you said, I'm a busy mom. I have two young kids who are very bright, and all the time, my husband and I joke, like, man, college is gonna be expensive. Like, there are gonna be a lot of things, um, and really wanting to make sure that for my kids and other kids, honestly, that I set them up on a foundation. Particularly for my own kids, that they don't have to start at the same place that I did. That like maybe they can skip the whole student loan chapter, but also just making sure that there's an ability for me to give back in the community and to help people in the causes that I care deeply about, that I'm not able to do if I don't have like the time, freedom, or the resources, quite frankly. And so for me, figuring out how to maximize and get bigger contracts, one, allows me to help organizations that with more complex needs that aren't getting the help that they need. So aside from my own sort of personal thing of wanting to sort of set up a legacy for myself, my children, be able to like support my community and causes, also really wanting to make sure that organizations that are every day out there doing the work are getting the best support doing that. And so seeing that need and knowing that like both of those ends really allow me to have the impact on the world that I want to have while I've got time on the earth.
Yes, leaving a lasting legacy. How powerful that is. So you mentioned, right, you originally joined us for our B2B Lead Gen Challenge, and then you decided to join us inside our Swagger School Mastermind. What was it that made you choose Swagger School for your corporate consulting journey?
Yeah. So I feel like it's a number of things that came together, right? So your business, the vibrancy that was there. And I think that every time I got on a call, um, you affirmed something around the way that I was thinking or wanting to build, that a lot of other coaches and programs that I have either been a part of or looked into just didn't. I think that you're always giving the assurance that like we can build differently, that I don't have to be a one trick pony. In fact, that might not be the most advantageous, and that I could actually be my full self. And so I just feel like the energy was aligned with the journey that I've been on, I think probably my entire professional career, of just really trying to find my place, my voice, and be able to show up as a full person who has like interests and passions and is involved in lots of different things that are connected for me. In my head, it makes sense, but it doesn't fit neatly into a box. And so I just feel like this community was really open to that. And everyone was sort of building in their own way, being really transparent and honest about the journey and not just showing, the highlight reel. Even in our conversations, it just felt like a place where I could be rooted and like really build what I was trying to build.
Thank you for sharing that, because for so many, we assume there's a right way or a wrong way to build a business, right? And we are in an era right now where being multi-hyphenate, being multi-passionate, is in vogue, right? As we move into this kind of high-level gig economy. And, we serve both organizations through corporate consulting. We also advise independent consultants who are looking to secure more corporate contracts. And I have never seen more crossover, right, between former corporate executives now taking on consulting identities and consultants, right, serving organizations in this way. And so what a time to have many ways to serve the world and to create your own, right, identity as you navigate the road ahead. So now you join inside the Swagger School Mastermind. Share with folks what that experience was like when you enrolled in the program.
Yeah, so when I enrolled on my birthday. I was like, this is a gift that I'm giving to myself. I'm investing in this vision, this dream that I have of being able to build this organization that like shows up and shines and has the impact. And we got right into it, with the office hours and like, what's the issue that you're dealing with, some of the training and like skill development that happens, the resources. I spent a good amount of time going through sort of like that onboarding. A lot of ahas coming to me like, oh, like how do you get your messaging sharper? How do you position this stuff to actually make sure that you're speaking to your decision makers versus like all the other sort of gatekeepers? And I was like, that's what's been happening. I've been talking to people who are just like not the people that are ultimately going to make the decision. How do you tell your story? Like the magnetic messaging, which I think is an area that I have often struggled with, like even when I was building my own law practice and in speaking. But now I just feel like it's getting crisper and I'm like, getting more confident and clear about like who I'm working with, who I serve, who I don't serve. And why that really matters right now, and just feeling like the confidence of being able to show up and say what I have to say and like make the connections and follow up with people without feeling like I'm bothering people. But actually like this is in service, like this is actually a partnership. This is a collaboration that helps us both get to the end that we desire. So joining has been great for me.
I have seen Nkoyo a sea change, right, and shift in your energy in terms of the way you approach the messaging, and the way you are owning, right, your expertise in those conversations. But you weren't starting from scratch, okay? Because you had an offer hanging around that you had already built. So kind of share with us some of the impact in terms of those contracts you've been able to close so far, as you were out there elevating your positioning and being more structured in the way that you go to market with your corporate consulting services.
Yeah. So I have a couple of offers, but I think the one that is like my favorite way of sort of delivering support right now is inside my Impact Guard. And so it is a governance and compliance container. It's like a monthly place for leaders to get the information that they need. We offer very specific support for nonprofit boards and senior leaders around how to do really big, epic things, despite what it looks like, despite all of the uncertainty and sort of changes that are around. And right after I did the lead gen challenge, I finally got someone, my language changed around that container, and they saw the value of having a strategic partner with them month to month to really help them navigate change and get their organization back to the place that they wanted it to. So It is a recurring revenue system, which I love. When I left practicing law, I had built something similar as like a legal subscription. And so I took that experience, no experience was left behind, and used some of that knowledge to put together this one. And they've been on it. We've been rocking since August. I'm seeing and watching the level of support, the level of engagement, the questions, the things that we are doing just really accelerate in a way that is really awesome to see as they get back on boots on the ground, like doing the things that's going to shift this generation of leaders and the next. And so it's been really cool to have that package, have a very clear way that I support, and also get paid consistently to do it. So, like,
Listen, that recurring revenue, right? The holy grail, right, of consulting. So, kudos to you for securing not just that client retention opportunity, but that recurring revenue to free you up to have the spaciousness to dream up the next chapter of your business. So, for many consultants, sometimes it takes a bit of mindset shifts, right, to now start showing up in the boardroom in a new way. What would you say is one of the biggest mindset shifts that you've had to make? To now start to lead your business in a way that really attracts your dream organizations?
yeah. I think at the end of the year, we were talking about some of the stuff that we were doing. And I think a big aha moment for me around a mindset shift was that I was owning it. Like, this is mine. Like, the things shifted because I shifted, not because the market changed or it got better. It's actually terrible out there in the nonprofit social impact space, right? People are very concerned about investing in things, being too loud. Like, it's not at all that like conditions just got easier or my messaging was like easier to put out. It just was that I was more convicted about what I was doing. I was clear. I believe in the solution that I'm providing. And I think that for a long time, I was waiting for somebody else to come and say that this thing is good, and it makes sense and you can do it, which for me, kind of, I was an employee for a really long time. You often like you get someone's approval. They say, oh, this draft is great, or they mark it up, right? And like that's how you figure out whether your thing is valuable or not. But I was like, I know it's valuable. Like I believe in it. I believe in it so much that I am confident and willing to go out and have more conversations, to put on programs, whether a million people sign up or not. Like I'm still going to go and deliver with excellence. And I think that energy shift has actually led to other people seeing the value of the work, like understanding, seeking out information, connecting. I just posted something yesterday about, being values aligned and going and volunteering for something, and like the impressions and the views on the profile and the people who raised their hand in my DMs, which I never thought was like really actually a thing, happened. And it wasn't because of anything besides me just saying like, I'm going to show people what I'm doing. I'm going to be values aligned. I'm not going to hide about it. Like, this is who I am. This is all the things that I do. And I believe in it. Like, I believe in what I'm doing.
Right there, the shift from the employee mindset to the CEO mindset, really truly owning it in the boardroom. How powerful that has been to watch you evolve, right? And owning, right, your seat in the boardroom. This is something that we've seen, right? You close more contracts in the past 6 months than in the previous entire year, right? And part of that is not about being in perfect conditions, right? We've seen that this is not a market of perfect conditions, but this was a result of you showing up and believing, right? Showing up for yourself first, right? Being the most important sale that you make to yourself first. So what is one word of advice that you would give to someone who was in your shoes prior, right? Embarking on that corporate consulting journey and maybe doubting, right? Is this the right time to show up and sell my services to organizations? What's one word of advice that you would leave with them today?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, keep going, but I think, even beyond that, it's just the resolve. All of these things that I've done haven't happened overnight, right? I've taken some real leaps of faith. I've like tried things and they didn't work out, and it would be easy to just be like, forget it. I have a job. Like, I'll just work on this job and worry about my kids, and like, it's not for me, right? And sometimes, particularly in business and particularly when you are leading change, however that shows up for you, and I think that that's the thing first for me, leadership is an inside job. And so you have to have the resolve. You have to like work on yourself and, master yourself effectively, or continue in that process to be able to get to the outcomes of things that you want. And so I am so glad that I had the resolve, that I had the belief that there is a space in a container for me to build what I'm trying to build that way that I want to build it and still maintain my interests and passions however they show up. And I think that that's what led me to Swagger School and this like opportunity to be around other people who are building in the same direction, even if we're not doing the same things. But because I didn't quit on my own vision and belief of what was possible, I was able to go find those things. And so my word of advice would be to anyone who is stepping into consulting maybe for the first time or coming back to it, or however you've landed here. I always say I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Like I'd never in a million years planned to be trying to build a business or be building a business at all. But if you have that feeling in you, you're called and to take the steps to get the clarity, to get the support that you need, and have the resolve to see your vision and your passion come to life.
What a beautiful word of encouragement, Nkoyo. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing your journey with us today. Tell us, where can people keep up with you and learn about all the wonderful work that you're doing?
Yes. So if you are on social media, I am on LinkedIn. That's probably my first platform, is there in Threads, but Nkoyo E. Lewis on all of the platforms. You can absolutely keep up with me there. And I would love to connect. I would love to be a part of your journey, to encourage you as you're moving and to help you really lead audaciously in the ways that you are leading today.
We talk a lot about leveling up your mindset, embodying your goals, and rocking your swagger. And it has been just such a joy to watch you embody that audacity in the boardroom, Koya. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. And we wish you continued success on behalf of our entire team here at Swagger School.
Thank you.
Thank you.